You mentioned before, you work with 10,000 people,
Over. Yeah. Yeah.
10,000 souls, literally.
Yeah.
Um, Having worked with, and these are disparate groups, in all, this part of the world where we are here in Asia, we're both here in Vietnam at the moment. You are in Vietnam, aren't you? Yeah.
Well,
We're both here
Cambodia,
at the moment.
really Cambodia these days, actually. I'm in and out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but you've also mentioned you do stuff, over the other part of the world in North America. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, are you seeing, having interacted with all these people in these different places, are you seeing any trends at all?
Yeah. Very simple. It's all a condition of our programming in the human heart, right? I think
Mm,
trends are what is it that's really holding people back, and not as a cliche question. It's like, what is
mm,
it? And at a deeper
mm,
level, when you look at the nervous system, you can call it emotional memory,
mm,
trauma,
mm,
limiting beliefs, but
mm, mm,
people's wounding, people's internal wounding, their
mm,
shame, their history, their past, their
mm,
inability to be fully functional and present, which affects every aspect of their lives,
mm.
literally
Uh,
every aspect of their lives, right? So the trends are people are in pain, right? So the behaviors they want to change, the thoughts they want to change are a manifestation of deeper levels of pain. That's the one
mm,
universal pattern I've
mm,
seen, whether I'm working with
mm,
executives, physicians, students,
mm,
you name it.
mm,
That's it.
mm.
What are your key drivers from pain and how are they manifesting in your life? Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so that's the common trend. And is
sure.
that the same irrelevant of where it is on the planet?
No, I think it manifests differently in the East and the West, right? So in
Tell
the
me more
West,
about that.
yeah, in the Western paradigm, right? We've been taught to be independent thinkers, to
Mm,
question things, to have an opinion, to have a big ego. And this pulls us away from a strong sense of self in the sense that it's never really good enough, right? We always need more. We have to have an idea. We need to
mm,
hold on to our philosophies and our conceptions of the world, and everything has to be scientific and empirical. So there's a lot of grasping onto the idea of the self in the West. Okay. So we'll
mm,
call it an inflated ego, which
mm,
again causes pain.
mm.
In the East, a little bit of a different approach where there's a lot more suppression going on. You don't really have an opinion. You can't really do this without the consent of the family. You can't really do this without the consent of the government. So again, they're both manifestations of pain at a deeper level, but the origins are different. So in the East, right, you have people fundamentally afraid to have an opinion. They can't move into their identity. They have a tough time identifying outside of the opinions and the consolation and the validation of other people,
Mm, mm,
right? So they manifest very differently. When I work with a group of Westerners, I call them now because we're in the East, right? I approach it
mm,
very
mm,
differently, very, very differently. Whereas I approach a group in the East much differently as well. They're almost two different approaches completely. Ultimately, we arrive at the same understanding and the same takeaways, but yeah, I approach it very differently, which has been wonderfully interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderfully interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, with Westerners, right, I always know what I'm dealing with for the most part, right? Because right off the bat, you can see the manifestation of the idea or the ego or the
Mm,
conceptualization of the world. And if we're in
mm,
agreement, there's congruence. If not, right away, we're going to feel it. And so
mm,
I have to work with, quote unquote, the ideas and with the ego to allow space for conceptualization for a new insight.
mm,
And so this is, again, meeting people where they are. It's just there's subtleties to it. And so, for example, if I'm doing wellness discussions or wellness talks or webinars for Westerners, I throw in a lot of science. You know, I call it the religion of science. And my background's quite scientific, so I have no issues with
mm.
the research. But they love it. They polarize, they gravitate towards it. I throw too much of my hippie stuff in there, you can feel them start to turn off a little bit, right? Over here, so because I'm getting thrown so much information as a facilitator with a
Mm,
group of Westerners, I got to work
mm,
with that. I got to work with
mm,
that energy. East is different. You have to create the conditions first where people are safe and comfortable enough to really come into their own skin. to really share an opinion, to really contribute in a meaningful way. So I'm giving a lot more energy initially to generate output later by creating those conditions of safety and vulnerability and openness. Whereas Westerners, right, sometimes you just got to simmer the energy down. Like, okay, guys, let's take it easy. You kind of got to roll with the punches a little bit more. So it manifests very differently. It's quite interesting.